Hello and welcome to another episode of Staying Power, a show that is all about building a better life. And don't we all want to build a better life? I think so. And so every week we get together to spend an hour talking about one small segment of something having to do with building a better life. And we hope that it resonates with you and you can apply it in your own life. Who do I mean by we? Well, there's me, JDK Winnikin, and then there's her, my friend, my colleague, the straw that stirs the drink here in the Staying Power universe, Ashley Knievel. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
How are you?
I never tire from hearing all that.
It is a pretty
Thank you.
It is a pretty big, robust, grand.
It really is.
I really try to do that every
For a
week.
very small person, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're like that little pocket ninja I always talk about.
Yeah, I'm little.
Absolutely. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for today's episode, and we hope that all of you joining us are excited as well. Today, we're going to be asking a question that a lot of us secretly wonder, and that is, does getting a coach for something in my life mean I'm weak? Well, the spoiler alert is no. It means you're serious about growth and possibility. So we're going to talk about coaches today and all of that. So Ashley, you're a coach, I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this was your idea, this topic.
That's right.
And there's good reason for it, I think. So how about you share this, the root of this with everybody, and we'll just jump right into it today.
All right. Well, and maybe this is why I'm so fantastic, is because not. I mean, yes,
reasons.
I am fantastic, but because I hired a coach
Recently.
Yes, I did
You
to
did.
help me in some business adventures that I am currently undergoing. And it has been, for lack of a better term, a game changer. And it's really impacted so much of my life in a positive way. While she was hired to help as a coach and consultant to help me in the businesses that I'm currently building right now, she's also, without probably realizing it, she's building me too.
Of course.
And she's helping me build other people.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that in a very short span of time has brought so much relief and has unburdened so much stress and has just cleared so many questions out of my mind, because for once I can just relax a little bit and know that there is somebody else with some more knowledge that I can trust that is going to lead the way. And as long as I follow instructions and whatnot, it's going to work. And having the faith of like that in somebody, and now having bore witness to the results of me doing that and seeing that it is successful has been also just reinforces me to want to keep going. But it's also just allowed me to relax and take a deep breath and not feeling like I'm running on my last straw of energy all day, every day. It's been great. I had this idea, and see if you can play along with it. It's kind of like you're running a hurdles race, or you've been entered into a hurdles race. And before I hired my coach, I was walking a hurdles race, which I've never actually tried to do that. But I can imagine it's not great. And because to get over a hurdle, you kind of need like a running start, right? You can't, you're just climbing over one at a time. And it was rough, and stumbled a lot and fell and had to pick myself back up from all my mistakes and then try and dust myself off and keep going. And ever since I hired her, now I feel like I'm actually running in a hurdles race where, yes, there's still things to learn and climb over and get through and whatnot, but I have such more like grace and ability because I have someone teaching me and coaching me along the way. So I'm getting through things a lot faster, a lot smoother. My team probably appreciates it a lot more. And I actually feel like I'm actually accomplishing something. And in a much shorter amount of time. I would have gotten there eventually, I'm sure, because I spend a lot of time doing my own research and trying to continue to grow and whatnot. But if I were to just rely on my own learnings and knowledge and whatnot and trying to double down on that at the end of every day, it would have taken me so much longer to get even where I'm at right now if I were doing it alone.
Sure. And you felt like you were doing it alone before this.
I was doing it alone before this.
You were doing it alone. So,
Yes.
so has it been a combination of she's been showing you some things that you didn't know you could do and needed to do more effectively? Was this more of a process of her helping you with self-discovery of some things you could do differently that were more in your wheelhouse than maybe something else? Is it a combination of both?
Little I would say combination of both, probably more of the former.
Okay.
It was nice to have her come in, and there were certain things that I'm like, "In my gut, this feels right," or, "This was my intentionality to manage this way or change that process that way," and she's like, "Absolutely, agreed. That's what I would instruct as well." So,
Mhm.
that was great to know, like, my intuition is fairly going in the right
That's always
direction
really
already.
reaffirming
Really
when
good.
an
Yeah, because then
expert
you
goes,
you
"Yep,
build a
you're on
little
it."
more,
Mhm.
security, and you have some trust in yourself, and, you feel like you can handle things. And there was some kind of self-discovery in there of like, what do you most enjoy doing? And can we curate what you're doing to fit what you most enjoy doing? Is that even possible?
Gotcha.
So a little bit of both, but
Okay.
all in all, very good.
Well, I asked for that distinction, and we'll get into that because I think it's an
Sure.
important part of understanding what a coach is and is not.
Mhm.
So, well, interestingly enough, because the way you just laid that out kind of comes right to my immediate thought, right? It's this notion that a lot of us can feel if we need a coach, it's an admission of failure,
Mhm.
that we should be able to have our act together. And if we don't have our act together is when we're supposed to get a coach.
Mhm.
And so having a coach in something means whatever somebody else can do naturally or better or innately, we somehow need help to do. And we see
Mhm.
that as a bad thing. When really what you're talking about is interesting. You're not talking about how this highlighted what you weren't doing before. You
Right.
ended up highlighting the strengths of what you were discovering in the process.
Mhm. And that's how it felt,
Mhm.
actually. And maybe because I didn't feel like I had an ego around this or anything. It wasn't like, "Well, this is embarrassing. I don't wanna tell anybody that I hired a coach." I was so open and honest with everybody around me, and I'm like, "Just wait. You guys, the improvements are coming. I can already feel it." I had so much faith in it, and I'm so excited because I actually felt like hiring a coach was giving myself the best shot that I possibly could at
Mm,
success.
mm. I do know from our conversations on this over the past months that you were getting to the point where you're like, "Yep, I think I've tried everything I can try.
Yeah.
I'm certainly doing everything to the best of my ability now."
Mhm.
And you were open to
Yeah.
this. Right. Now, I think it also probably helps that you're a coach yourself, right?
That
Different
might
kind
help.
of coach,
Yeah.
right? And so you've seen and experienced this help
Mhm.
from the other side of the chair,
Mhm.
if you will, right? At the same time. Okay. So this wasn't a matter of you not having your act together. That wasn't the story in your head.
Correct.
It was instead what the fact of this is all I'm hitting a ceiling here and
Mhm.
there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
So,
I
okay.
mean, had an honest conversation with yourself of like, this is where you're at. Do you want to get better? Because
Mhm.
you've gotten pretty far on your own knowledge and instincts and whatnot. But
Yeah.
if I have a lot more potential, then I need some guidance on how to, you know, progress
Yeah.
on that potential.
And see, I love that because potential is about next steps, what is possible.
Mhm.
Whereas focusing on I should have my act together is looking at the past
Right.
or judging your present on the basis of some sort of preconceived notion that may or may not be true,
Mhm.
right? And it's interesting though, because we can look at it that way, but then we look all around us in the world and the people who are some of the highest performers anywhere in anything have coaches,
Yes.
professional
Yeah.
athletes have not just the coach of their sport or whatever it is, like you mentioned high hurdles, but any professional athlete has the coach that pushes them forward. But they also have people like nutrition coaches,
Mhm.
strength coaches, mindfulness coaches, all things meant to hone them to the best of their abilities with their physicality and all the combinations of everything else that goes with it. And we seem to have no problem with that. We're go, oh, okay, because their body is their profession, right? That
Sure.
is
Yeah.
the
That
so
just makes
we
sense.
seem to be
Yeah.
okay with that. You're right. And more so now, I think, than maybe even 5, 10 years ago. People that are high performers in business
Mhm.
will talk about the coaches that they have,
Mhm.
right? And people go, oh, okay, well, yeah, because you're running a multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar company, that should be okay. Why is this okay for all the people making billions of dollars and millions of dollars? But somehow, if we who do not have all those millions or billions of dollars yet, what is that? Why suddenly do we not have access to this? Or why is it not okay for us to say, maybe I could level up and improve my own performance, however we define that,
Mhm.
by having a coach? It's a little bit of a it's an interesting dynamic when you think about it.
Well, I think we've grown up in a society where asking for help is a story. It means,
Right.
"Oh, you don't
You
get it.
don't have
You need
something.
help."
Yeah.
You need support. You can't handle this on your own.
You should be able to do it. You
Correct.
should have it
Yes.
controlled. Yeah. The great shoulds. Right.
The
I hate
great
those shoulds.
shoulds.
The great shoulds or the
Make 'em sound like
bullshoulds.
they're like a mountaintop
Yeah,
somewhere.
let's call them bullshoulds. I've been calling that for a long time. You know, so it's interesting because in so many cases, a lot of people we admire start working with coaches because they want to grow beyond a certain point, and we admire that. And yet, when it comes to ourselves, we can then go, "Well, no, I should have it all together," which is interesting because it's the flip side of the same kind of ego question of
Mhm.
I can do anything. I don't need any kind of help whatsoever. Flip side of that ego is, well, I shouldn't need any of that. It's still a myth. It's still a story. And so what I think is so important about what you're doing and the story you shared is that it's a growth mindset personified. You have a business you want to grow. You don't want to grind yourself into a pulp
Mhm.
doing what you've been doing, right? And you kind of hit a point and had an opportunity where a coach came along where you went, oh, okay, this is a good fit. And that worked. And I got to say, that coach has been working fast just in terms of, in terms of what's been going on in your business and for you. I
Yeah,
know it's been a
you've
big
had
deal.
to bear witness. And
That's all right.
I will preface, it's not that it alleviated me from doing a bunch of work. It has actually given me more work to
Mm,
do,
that's a good
but
point.
different
It's
kind
important.
of focused work, right? Like I have multiple meetings a week, whether they're in person, they're on the phone, whatnot. They usually average like an hour and a half almost every
Mm,
time because we're really getting through and restructuring and changing a lot of things. And so, like you said, it's moving fast.
mhm.
If we weren't trying to move this fast, I probably wouldn't need to be so invasive and so many phone calls and so long and whatnot. But
Right.
because we have really aggressive goals
Mhm.
and trying to hit some metrics and whatnot sooner rather than later. So it is requiring a lot.
Yeah.
I tend to work, I think, what did I say the other day? I work like 10 to 11 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then I have my meetings on top of that. And then I have to implement something. So it's like, it is
Mhm.
definitely a full thing.
Yeah.
But the best part about it is I'm not tired. I'm not exhausted. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. You're invigorated.
And I feel like even though it's a lot of work and there's a slog to it at some point where your brain's like, "All right, I don't think there's any room right now to stuff more in there."
Mhm.
I'm not like burnt out feeling like I have been. I can go to sleep and I sleep well and I wake up and I'm ready to do it again.
Yeah, you're energized by
Mhm.
the whole thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, which indicates, and we talk about this with our clients all the time, indicates kind of a flow state, right? That means you're in a space that you're comfortable being in, that fits with a lot of your natural abilities, your natural inclinations, and that sense of connectedness with this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, this is where
Mhm.
it's going. And I would hazard a guess that this isn't just coaching you, this is everybody in your practice. It's
Yes.
not just you, it's
Right.
everybody
It's
else.
just me. And I think I have seen changes. Well, I have seen changes in my staff and our team members and whatnot in just their presence and how they're showing up every day. And I think because of me bringing in somebody to really help guide this along and get to where we're
Mhm.
wanting to get to, that they believe in it as well. And they have a better respect for me because they're like, wow, she's very serious when she said this is what she's trying to accomplish. She actually meant it because she's
Mhm.
now taken steps, which means she's hired somebody
Yeah.
and they've all met this
And
coach
she's
and they've
taking the
spent,
steps for
yes.
herself.
And
She's not just telling us what to do.
right, and all the staff are on board with it, and they're doing their part, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and this is the great thing that this example is perfect for kind of the phrase that came to mind when I was thinking about this, right?
Oh,
We
you're
tend to tell
welcome.
ourselves that if we need a coach, it somehow means we're broken.
Mhm.
What you're talking about isn't the fact that you were broken. You're talking about you're invested.
Yes.
The desire to have a coach means if you have one, it's not somehow the sign that you're broken, whatever that means. It means you just might be invested in going to a new level,
Mhm.
digging in deeper, growing further. So when we come back from the break, let's talk more about that. Okay, we'll talk a
Okay.
little bit about what different types of coaches there are, what kind of successful coaching looks like, what it is, and what it isn't. So we'll do that right after the break, as well as our weekly segment. This week it is the 2 minutes of triumph. We'll be back in just a second here on Staying Power.
Are you ready to discover remarkable stories of resilience and cultural connection? This is Diaspora, a show sharing the journeys of first-generation immigrants from the Indian subcontinent now building their lives in North America. Inspiring, insightful, and always engaging, Diaspora offers a unique perspective on the immigrant experience. Join me, Aditya Mehta, my guests, on the Diaspora Show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. right here on KKNW.
Imagine home. The smell of coffee, the sound of a lawnmower, the sun's warmth on your face. Free to be yourself, surrounded by love that helps you grow. This is a place to call home. That's an American dream we all deserve. But in 50% of US states, you could legally be denied housing if you are LGBTQ+. Get the facts and hear real stories at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Talk radio with a purpose. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
We are talking today about getting a coach and why that is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that perhaps you just want to be more right than you already are. Kind of, I don't know.
That's one way of
I
putting
really
it.
tried to play that on words. I'm not sure it worked, but I think you get the gist of what I mean. Rather than focusing on it being a sign of failure, it opens up the possibility of maybe a redefinition of success and growth. And depends on the coach and depends on what you're looking for. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in this segment. But first, I want to thank everybody for joining us wherever you're listening to this. If you're catching this live on 11:50 a.m. KKNW in Seattle, thanks so much for doing it. You can also watch this live on our live stream at our YouTube channel, which we're excited about, also on Instagram. And you can also catch this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And in all of those locations, in the show notes for every episode, you will find all the different ways you can connect to Ashley and myself, our social media feeds, our email at stayingpowershow@gmail.com, and a bunch of other stuff. So thank you so much for subscribing to the podcast or on YouTube. That helps us very much. And we're excited about the growth that we're seeing. So thanks for that. All right. Before we jump back into this, it is time for our weekly segment where Ashley and I each take 2 minutes to talk about something that happened during the week that was either a triumph or a terror, what we learned from it, all in the name of connecting, showing vulnerability, and staying in the moment. This week, I'm excited to say it is a 2 minutes of triumph. Here we go.
Yes.
Okay.
Every time.
Yes. All right. Ashley, what do you got?
Okay. You know what? I'm so proud of myself. Let me just put this out there. Like, I am my own biggest fan. However, it's the truth. Not to offend people, but I have killed 3 spiders so far this week and didn't have a hint of hesitation. I had all this courage in me and I saw it and I just needed to get rid of it to cool the air in the entire space
Whoa.
because all my other staff were freaking out. And if anyone knows me, I'm not a spider person. Like,
Well,
I am the one that's
that's
hiding up
implied
in the
in what you
corner of
just
the
said.
room. Yes. I am like on the table, farthest away, screaming. That is
Wow.
me. And for whatever reason, and I'm just going to think it's because I'm just improving, obviously. I have been able to go in.
Do you have an arachnophobia coach?
That way, maybe. I don't know. But I've been able to do that. And I'm like, and it's small scale, right? I mean, people are probably like, really? It's a big deal for me. And the fact that I have not had an ounce of hesitation, it just went in, got it done, handled.
Conquering those fears.
I was so impressed with myself.
Good for you,
Yeah,
as you should have been.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. All right. My triumph actually could have started out as a terror. But you might have noticed, listeners, that we were not on last week. We did not have an episode last week. Why is that? Because of what my terror was. I was in a car accident 2 weeks ago. Not my fault. Hit from behind at a pretty high speed. Yes, that was a terror for sure. That was not fun to go through. But the triumph was, I walked away from that, which the police who came on site and others couldn't believe actually happened. I didn't quite fully believe it happened, but it's been a little while now, and I'm seemingly no worse for wear. I'm all put together. Everything seems okay. And everything went really smoothly with the process of insurance and all of that.
That is a triumph.
I know it is a triumph. So all that stuff is coming together. But you know what was interesting about it to me, besides being grateful that I was okay,
Mm.
And it was kind of it was really kind of a cool thing. When I got hit, my watch went off. My watch told me, "You've been in an accident." I was like, "Yeah, no kidding. I've been in an accident." But it said, "Would you like to call emergency services?" So I pressed the button on there. I
Mhm.
was in a little bit of shock, right? Like, what just happened? I couldn't believe I was okay. And I didn't know that when you do that, it not only calls 911 for you, but anybody you have in your phone as your emergency contact gets notified. And so suddenly, as I'm on the phone with 911, I'm seeing everybody. My sister's calling, my dad's calling. I have a friend calling from New Orleans. I have a friend calling from France, all going, are you know, and I'm like, why is everybody calling me? And I told the 911 operator, I said, I'm sorry, I'm distracted. Everybody's calling me. And she said, that's because your watch notified everybody on your emergency list. But
How many people do you have on this
a
list?
lot. I
I
think I have
guess.
10.
Oh my
Yeah, I think I have
goodness.
10.
That's
And
okay.
but but that was kind of cool though. The very fact that you could do that and they could see where I was, there's a little
Yeah.
map. That part was cool.
Fascinating.
And yeah, it was fascinating. So anyway, the triumph was I walked away, everything worked out. I should have a replacement car here in not too long.
Fantastic.
anyway.
Well, that is very good because car accidents are not fun.
They are not. They are not. So but they do happen. And yeah. So I'm excited about that. All right. Let's keep going on this story
All right.
about coaching this on today's episode. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about, this idea that coaching is really kind of, it's not a sign of failure. It's a sign you're ready to move beyond where you already are.
Mhm.
Really what coaches focus on, at least good coaches on, is helping clients develop a growth mindset and do so from a position of self-determining what that looks like,
Mm.
right? You sound like you have a coach that is both somewhat directive, like says, do this, 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 and this,
Right.
which is more like kind of a consulting
Mhm.
approach, but also a collaborative one that is working with the individual to kind of find out how you tick, see what works for you, what doesn't, and asks a lot of open-ended questions to get you maybe thinking, speaking, considering things in a way you haven't considered before.
Yes.
Is that
I would
accurate?
yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
It is directive, obviously, because you gotta grow, you gotta do some work.
Yeah, and this is specific to the business you're
Yeah.
in.
And I mean, it started with like, this is the goal that I have in mind. Do you think this is a reachable goal? Is it like ridiculous? No,
Mhm.
it is. Okay, great. What do I need to do to get there? And
Mhm.
there are certain things where it's outlined of these are options. Do you
Mhm.
want to go about it this way, or this is how I would best advise to handle this situation?
Mhm.
And then it's on me also, and it's
Mhm.
kind of pushing and forcing me to grow in whatever way I feel comfortable and see fit to handle or,
Right.
do what she's asking me to do.
Right. Right. And my own experience with that is similar. For me, my first encounter working with a coach wasn't around necessarily something specifically work oriented like you're talking about. For me, I had just gotten so tired of having the same emotional responses to the
Mm,
same difficult things over and over again that I couldn't seem to get away from in ways that were bothering me, where I felt limited. And I didn't know why. I'd been doing all this work. I'd gone to therapy. I'd done 12-step programs. I'd done all this stuff and seemingly kept ending up in my own way emotionally. And I was so tired of it. And I felt like I had tried so many things. So my first encounter with a coach was a coach who helped me with kind of emotional intelligence and stress management and understanding somatically what was happening within me and learning how my body not only gave me signals on how I was feeling, but actually could be a part of the process of me moving through difficult things and
mm,
learning how to handle discomfort. And so there was really nothing too specific at first other than I am making myself miserable. I know that I am, but I don't know exactly why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, or what to do differently.
mhm.
But I was willing to not do that anymore. And so,
You know,
yeah, that
this
was
really answers a question
uh-huh.
that I didn't know I ever had. It's more of a pondering. But the fact that I didn't realize, I guess, that you had coaching experience or have worked with a coach in that kind of experience because I've always said you're so in tuned
Mm,
with what you feel in your body and your somatic responses, much more than I am.
mm.
But the fact that you mentioned that you had to learn, like,
Oh,
what
I
your
did.
responses were, this makes so much more
Yeah,
sense,
and I learned
which is
that.
great because there's times when you're talking about things, you're like, "I feel it here, I'm feeling it here, I get
Mhm.
this response," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't feel anything." Um, nothing is happening on this side. So that's great. That's really good to know
But
because
that's relatively
sometimes
new. Yeah.
I'm like, "Do I just have circuits that don't fire?"
No.
Or
No,
Have I just not gotten in touch with the stuff
that
you
more
did?
that than anything else. And that doesn't mean that you ever will. It would look the same or
Mhm.
feel the same or do the same thing. I think it's a process of self discovery that, while it may have some common threads, is unique to each person.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I learned that from working with this coach, and she was on occasion directive,
Mhm.
but for the most part, asked a lot of questions that I had to consider that were new for me, and I had to be declarative and open and say, this is what,
Love
and then all of
that.
a sudden, as I'm speaking out loud, I'm going, okay, well, there's a story there. Why would I believe that? Or why is this a problem? All things I hadn't ever known to consider before because nobody had presented it to me that
Mhm.
way. And I probably went through most of my time with this coach, which was several years, not really knowing what she thought about how I was responding to these things, right? Just, you know,
The teacher was silent.
but yeah, but that was, she would say that's not the point, right? The
Mhm.
point is
Mhm.
how is your process of discovery going, and how are you discovering your agency, using that, dealing with the discomfort, all those kinds of things. Yeah, that's all relatively new, last 5, 6 years, and it's one of the reasons why I ended up really gravitating towards becoming a coach,
Mhm.
was because I could not believe what that did for me in terms of unlocking so many things and answering so many things, which I found within me, I didn't have to get from somewhere else. And that was huge for me.
That
So
is fantastic.
right.
Well, because I wanna acknowledge the fact that I know you are a really great coach.
Thank
I
you.
know of people that have worked with you, and they speak highly of your coaching
That's
and your
kind.
practices, and,
That's kind.
I a lot of that is from who you are as a person, but the fact that you've used a coach like that, and you've done other coaching. You had a nutrition coach
I
and
do.
a fitness
I
coach,
do have a
and
nutrition and
so an
fitness
awesome
coach.
coach that sits to my right has also had coaches, and look, we're
Yes.
always improving.
Yeah, and he's more directive, but I
Mhm.
also
Different kind,
understand
right?
different type. Yeah, but I also understand that part of the reason why he's directive. That's my friend Sean Ferguson.
Shout out.
Yeah, exactly. And he's more directive because he's done this, right?
Mhm.
And that's what he does. And I trust him. And he says, try this, but he's still somewhat like, what foods are you comfortable going with? Like, what are the ones you really don't want to give up that you like? Let's go with those, and then let's fit everything else around that.
Mhm.
That was super empowering, right? You know,
Everyone wants to know they can still eat their same foods,
right.
okay?
Yeah,
Let's be
you
real.
can. It's you have to just be smart about how much of it is and when it is
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So there's all different kinds. And I know it can be really easy. And I've heard people do this, get pretty cynical about how everybody's a coach.
Mhm.
So many coaches out there. If you Google life coach or something like that, you're going to see a million different things and it gets overwhelming. And there's a bunch of different ones. There's, of course, executive and business coaches. We've had one on the show before, our friend
Mhm.
Tucker Miller, right?
Yes.
Who is amazing,
She's
who
fantastic.
I think, aren't you having a conversation coming up with Tucker
I
pretty soon?
am. Way to just put it out there.
I know, I am gonna put it out
Wow.
there. I know.
Yes,
Pretty
I
cool.
do have a session with Tucker.
Yeah, it's coming up. I know, it's pretty great. And I've done the same thing. I actually, one of the things we're gonna talk about at the end of the show came from some coaching that I did with Tucker. So we're gonna talk about that. That's a teaser for the end.
Oh,
But nevertheless,
stick
there's
around.
that. There's, of course, personal life coaches. There's health and wellness coaches. There's a lot of overlap here, right? Speaking and performance coaches, therapeutic coaches versus therapists. There can be kind of a fine line there. There's a whole bunch
Sure.
of different kinds. But Ashley, based on all of that,
Mhm.
like let's talk about the things that all these different types of coaches probably have in common that are worth people knowing about. If you're saying, well, everybody's a coach,
Mhm.
there's good reason why there's lots of different coaches and the opportunities they
Well,
provide.
sure. I mean, because 'cause they're all in their specified slices of the pie there, right? And
Mhm.
I might be a little biased, but I do think it is good to have a kind of a niche coach
Mm,
for a niche thing you're working
yeah,
on.
for
I
sure.
do know sometimes there are life coaches out there and they cover a blanket of things. Those might be fine, but I
Mhm.
think if you're trying to work on something very specific, it might be in your best interest to
Yeah,
find one in that specific
yeah,
field.
yeah.
But I digress. Coaches, they listen. They listen a lot
Mhm.
because they need to get a lot of information and glean a lot. I think it's better when they listen more and talk
Yeah,
less.
active listening.
Yes.
Mhm.
And when they do speak, it has a lot of weight and value in it, and they start asking questions that challenge you and have you open up and have you start to think, because I think great coaches are not, as you sometimes say, like a basketball coach where they're just standing there on the sideline and pointing things out and telling you exactly what to do.
Mhm.
Because if you have someone doing that, then you yourself are not learning to do the work. You're just following orders.
Right.
And the idea is you learn and you progress and you grow, and then you can say goodbye to the coach one day
Mhm.
because
Yep.
you have outgrown the service that you were gleaning from them.
Yeah.
And a good coach is going to help you get to that goal.
Yeah.
I think they ask very strong, powerful questions.
Yes, they do. And for me, it's important. I tell clients that my goal, besides them finding whatever it is they're looking for, even if they don't know what it is for them to work me out of a job,
Mhm.
right? I don't want to be on in perpetuity necessarily, right? It's something that I think coaches of the type we're talking about would all also say that we all have the innate ability to discover what is best for us and find our own solutions. That doesn't mean we don't take advice. It doesn't mean we don't do research or any of those things, but a coach doesn't necessarily do that.
Mhm.
Like you said, a lot of open-ended questions, a lot of observations,
Mhm.
right? Some sharing of what other people have done or things that come up for them, usually from a place of a connected conversation, because a good coach and client relationship is going to be built on trust and communication. So there's that, right? That human element I think matters a lot.
Mhm.
Um, so these types of best practices, you can find them pretty easily. I mean, the most coaches of all the different types we've talked about all get their accreditation through some variant of the ICF, or the International Coaching Federation. And they're the ones kind of set the global standard for all different types of coaches. And so there's a whole bunch. There's listening, like you said, there's asking powerful questions. Um, there's so many others. Emotional intelligence, right? What does that mean? EQ versus IQ,
Mhm.
right? More and more studies show over the last 10, 15 years that people who really increase their emotional quotient, their EQ, versus their IQ actually perform better in leadership positions and do better at upward mobility in their jobs and report more larger life satisfaction than people who really focus on IQ. And right, I don't know, what do you think of this? I think we tend to think the smarter we are IQ wise, somehow the better off we will be. We'll be happier, we'll make better decisions, those types of things. I think we
Mhm.
tend to think that if we have a higher IQ, we should be more successful than if we had a lower one. But
Well,
EQ seems to be
sure.
indicator of
I mean,
more important.
IQ, you would think that you have a grander knowledge base. You have
Sure.
wisdom to make really great, profound decisions that are going to further your life forward. But I
Mhm.
think we've all met really smart people that can't have a basic conversation with
Yeah.
others.
Yes.
They are not, they're so checked out of their emotions because they're so checked
Mhm.
into their intelligence that they
Ooh,
have a hard time connecting with other people because they don't connect with themselves very much.
that was a really good turn of phrase there, actually. That
Really?
was
Oh my
really good.
gosh,
Yes, the
thanks.
checked out versus checked in.
You know what?
Well
That was
done.
just made up on the
That
spot,
was
but thank
that
you.
was very good. I like that a lot.
You're welcome.
No, it's absolutely true. And it is possible on some of these things, particularly in dealing with emotional difficulties. We can sometimes be too smart for our own good.
Mhm.
And by that I
That is a
mean
phrase.
it is. And by that I mean we can think that somehow we have to solve this problem with our intellect. We have to solve that. And there's a role for that. Right? There's a role for intellect. There's a role for all of those things. I'm not suggesting that the smarter you get IQ wise, you somehow get dumber in EQ, right? But what it can do is it can repress that idea that emotional development needs to happen or emotional integration needs to happen. When I mentioning my aforementioned coach, I'd spent a lot of time thinking, reading, intellectualizing everything that I had done, everything I was going through, everything I was trying to do. And I'd found some success in that, but it still wasn't getting me to where I wanted to go. And that's what led me into that coaching was the emotional quotient need rather than the IQ. So I think there's that. And the final thing I would say that fits in with these standards is a good coach is going to meet people where they are at.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it sounds like we both have experiences of people of our coaches doing that,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Meeting
because
us
I
where we're
mean,
at.
like you said, a good coach is going to do that because they're going to take time to actively listen to their new client that they have now met and agreed to work together
Mhm.
after probably a discovery call or something. And it has to be agreeance on both sides that we like each other. We're going to work together.
Yeah.
And then they get to know you. And every story is going to look different. Every person's going to look different in their
Yeah.
challenges and where they're at with everything. And a really great coach is going to just form their plan based off of where you're at, where you want to go, and they're going to put pressure on you because that's their job.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that they're never going to push it too far. At least a good coach should not do that.
Right. There's accountability and there's pressure.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. The accountability piece, I think, matters a lot. Right. And a coach may or may not be the sole person for giving accountability. Right. I know one of the things I talk about with my clients is, okay, you have this plan that you want to do either for the long haul or between this session and our next session. How are you going to hold yourself accountable? Right. Who do you have in your life that is going to, that you can bounce this off of, that you can let know this is what you're doing and have some accountability? What are the things that might get in the way? Right. Is it busy work schedule? Is it high demands at home? Is it habits that are hard to break? You know, getting people to name those things openly, right? And say them and then say, okay, what's a plan you could put together to mitigate that, minimize that, avoid that, whatever might be the case. Those types of things. And then doing it in such a way that if the person comes back the next week and says, yeah, I didn't do any of those things. It's not like, oh, why didn't you do it? You committed to do it, blah, blah, blah. Rather than that, it's like, okay, let's talk about what happened. What was that like? Right? You know, did you see an opportunity to do differently? And if you did, why didn't you take it? Right? What was that about? I think that's the kind of thing. So it does take skill. It's not just, as some people think, just a person asking questions, right?
Yeah.
The coach has to pay very close attention to the signs they're getting from their client. Yeah. So.
What?
Done.
It's great.
Just rolling along.
No, it's really good. I've had other coaches in past years also, and like you said, the accountability piece it's the only reason why you make changes and you improve.
It's true.
Is because you are making changes, which is difficult or uncomfortable or unusual. It doesn't feel the norm. It's a new neural path you're creating, both in your brain and in your life. And it's really easy to just default back to what's comfortable and what's usual and what's standard and what's habit. And you need someone to put up those like tough barriers of, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing this. And usually knowing that you're going to have to answer to somebody in some fashion will help you try and stay on that nice new path that you're forging.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that is the game changer, right? Being able to speak these things aloud, consider things you hadn't considered, have questions asked that you never thought you'd be asking yourself, and then putting together steps and plans moving forward with the accountability of, this is what I need to do, and this is how I want to go about it. That is exactly how we grow, how we level up, right? As people say all the time. Okay. So when I know you don't like that turn of phrase. I know there's so many ones that get overused, right? Yeah, no, I hear you. But what we're talking about is growing beyond the position, the place that we're in, right? And the willingness to continue to do that, knowing that it doesn't really ever stop, right? We continue to fill up that space of who we are, and we can either expand or we can contract, right? So that's what we're talking about. Okay, let's go ahead and take our second break. And when we come back, if we've convinced you that coaching is not something that is needed when you're failing, let's talk a little bit about how you can go about finding one, what kind of questions you can ask of yourself and others, and where do you go to find the type that you're looking for. Maybe you don't know what kind you're looking for. We'll talk about that when we come back here in just a minute on Staying Power.
Hello, I'm Chris Erdman. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs, creative minds, and game changers to uncover the real stories behind their business. On my show, Made of More, we explore the challenges that they've overcome, the breakthroughs that they've celebrated, and the mindset that drives them forward. If you're ready to unlock your full entrepreneurial potential, Made of More is the show for you, because here we know you are made of more. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW.
Don't ask me to talk.
There's a lot of talk out there. Political talk, sports talk, girl talk, trash talk, and so on. But there's only one, Don't Ask Me to Talk. Helmed Joined by conversational off-roaders and podcast pals Eric Ryder and Stacy Heller, they follow every tangent they encounter, from cultural blind spots to their infamous weekly Wheelo topics. Listen wherever you listen to your fave podcasts. Subscribe and share too. Or tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. or Tuesday at 4 p.m. on KKNW.
Going against the grain has never been this much fun. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
We're talking about the power of coaching and tackling this myth or this notion that people have that you only get a coach when you're failing at something. And what we're suggesting is a coach comes along when we feel like we can no longer move beyond the point that we're at, and we can focus instead on possibility and growth rather than why should I be here in the first place. So good stuff. And Ashley shared a coaching experience she's going through right now, which is paying huge dividends for her and in her business practice. I've shared a little bit about how it's helped me in my own life, and Ashley and I have our own clients now as certified coaches. And it's just kind of a big part of how we roll.
Yeah,
with
kind of part of our
things.
life.
All right. So if anything, if any of this is resonating with you listeners out there, I'd ask you to think about where's an area of your life where maybe instead of asking yourself, I should have this figured out by now. That's its own narrative, right? That's a negative one. To shift that and go, how can I grow beyond this? Would you like to grow beyond this? And move beyond it? And if that's the case, how would you find a coach to do this? So, Ashley, when you think about this, what would you suggest? What are some things you would suggest people think about and maybe look into when trying to identify what kind of coaching they need, what kind of coach they should get, who that should
Sure.
be?
I think you should first decide in what area. Is this in business, like my example? Is this in health, like what you've done before? Is this in emotional intelligence? Is this with your mental state? Is, like, where in your life do you feel like you need some more guidance and you would like to grow and learn beyond your own capacity of maybe all the things you've tried yourself already? When you figure that out, obviously it kind of depends on which of those categories you end up going with, but do your research, right? If it's going to be like a health coach, do you feel more comfortable as a woman having a female coach? Because maybe she'll understand your body more and how things go every month and, what you're going through in life or whatnot. Similarly, maybe a male coach male client would want a male coach because of he's trying to build his body. Anyways, you could find one that you are going to feel comfortable with, that you resonate with, do some discovery calls with.
Yeah.
Always set those up with a good coach. Those are always usually offered because that's how you figure out if they want to work with you, you want to work with them. But I do think it takes a little bit of spending time with yourself, of getting really down to the nitty-gritty and dropping the ego of where do I really need coaching? Because if you just kind of wake up and you're like, oh, I feel great, life's cruising along, I don't know if I need a coach. Maybe you don't. Now, in my case, it was obvious. I wanted to get better and I needed to get better. So I hired one. You wanted to change your health. So you hired one. There's indicators in your life, but I would also spend some time you can get really overwhelmed on Google.
You can.
And it's like you go there and the first 5 that pop up, do you just read those in the reviews and you're like, oh, this seems legit. All the things sound great. That's fine. Sometimes it's good to go with the big names that are very familiar.
Sure. Good place to start.
Sometimes it's good to also go with people that you just know, word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like what you and I have done.
Yeah. Yeah. Word of mouth can be really good for a coach, because if you're trying to filter through all the stuff you can get online, hearing from people or people who know people is going to go a lot further. That's true in business. It's true in coaching, right? All those things. If you are a person who really does want to focus on credentials, and I get that, right? You want your MD to be an MD, right? That type of thing. Always look and see if the coach that you are looking at is either directly accredited by the International Coaching Federation, or they came through a program that was accredited by the ICF. That can go a long way to telling you that the program meets those standards to be accredited that way. just like all major universities have educational accreditation and things like that, this area, this industry has its standards.
Mhm.
So the ICF is the one to look for. So there is that one as well. And remember too that you want to look for a coach that is not necessarily, unless it's something that you both decide is part of your coaching program, you want somebody who's going to help you figure out what you can do more so than just tell you what to do. Because sometimes it can be really easy to go, okay, I don't know how to do this. Just tell me what to do and I'll try it and I'll find out if it works. Well, if it doesn't work and you're only doing it because you were told to do it, it can be easy to just dismiss coaching period as, oh, no, coaching doesn't work. When really the best coaching is internalized, right? That the client helps develop what that looks
Mhm.
like, and they get to essentially guide where things go. And the coach works within those parameters, provides other options, provides observations, that type of thing. So the idea is for a good coach is more of a mirror than a mechanic
Mhm.
in that sense.
Mhm.
So I think that's important as well.
That's really actually very valuable. Knowing also how much you're willing to invest.
Mm,
And again, that's where you need to sit and conclude that with yourself.
money and time, right?
Yes. And sometimes it can be a little scary to invest money in coaching. And there's times where if you've never looked at the fees for coaching, you can see them and it's like, not everybody, but sometimes it can be like, really?
Mm-hmm.
However, if you are getting so much value that's going to change the whole trajectory, can I say that, of your life or what you're trying to accomplish, it's so worth it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you can't even put a dollar value
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. I never thought twice.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And I
Why
mean,
would you?
I have hired a coach when I was in my very early 20s and I didn't know any better and I got totally ripped off by it.
Mm,
Now, was I upset at the beginning when I learned that I had gotten ripped off? Of course. But now I look back and I'm like, I actually learned so much out of that. I'm just glad it happened because
Yeah.
of how much I learned and
Yeah.
how much it forced me to grow and do my own research and
Right.
whatnot. And
Right.
it was what it was. But
Right.
just know that you need to be willing to invest a lot of yourself.
Yes, very much
A
so.
lot of
And
yourself.
and on the money side, people can get hung up on that. My statement on that is, what else is money for? If it's not to take care of our health, first and foremost, our physical health, our nutritional health, our emotional health, what else is it for? Because if it's outside of those areas at the highest priority, I would ask everybody to consider, are you focused more on distraction
Mhm.
with money than you are
Yeah.
with what it can provide for you? And so for me, that's why I don't think twice about buying healthy food or about spending the money that I spend at the gym that I go to that isn't cheap,
Mhm.
but worth it.
Mhm.
About the coaching programs I do, I don't think about it. It's just simply, this is the investment in me. That's what money is for.
I mean, can you imagine what the world would look like if people put their money less in entertainment and more in their health and their growth and their well-being?
We'd be looking at a different place altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would.
Not to say there's anything wrong with entertainment. However, if you're like, well, that's a lot of money. Do I want to do that? Well, look at where you're investing all your other money.
And your time usually then follows, right? There's
Mhm.
usually a relationship there,
Mhm.
right? Between
Yeah.
what you spend your money on, you spend your time on. And so that's the other thing. And one other thing I would stress too is whatever insights you can gain from coaching, them just being insights doesn't do as much as we hope it will. I think sometimes we go, oh, I have this great new insight. It's just somehow by emotional osmosis going to infiltrate us and change how we behave. And I think that to a certain degree it can influence that.
Mhm.
But there does need to be some intentional work on applying the insights that we gain in coaching. Okay, how do I apply this? What does this look like?
Mhm.
What possible challenges might come from this? Because applying insights that are going to change your life are going to challenge. They may not always feel natural.
Mhm.
Other people may not always like them.
I was gonna say it's gonna challenge other people,
challenge other
probably
people.
in your immediate circle because
Mhm.
you're changing,
Yep.
which is now changing the dynamic that they're used to with their interactions with you
Mhm.
or what you guys normally do on a weekly basis or what
Yep.
depending on or maybe those people are no longer going to be able to be in your life because the life direction you're taking no longer includes them.
Yep.
Like it can be
Yeah.
a little bit of a forging, but the whole intention of it is for you to improve and to become more of who you really are in your core. And wouldn't we all want to actually just be more of who we are and actually have
Mhm.
the confidence in who we are?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I joke and speak highly of myself. And halftime, it's a joke. And more than halftime, don't do that math. It's actual fact. But I am so confident in myself. And that's only because I've done a lot of work.
You've grown
On
into a larger
myself.
version of the self you already were. And it's
Yes.
applied to more places. That's what we're talking about, is getting a better sense of who you are, where you want to be, and how you are, what is yours and what is other people's, and experiencing yourself grow stronger
Mhm.
within that and grow larger within that for your bandwidth to expand, right? All of those things. And it's a process of continual discovery. And what coaching can do over time, even well after you're done working specifically with a coach, is show the different pathways where that self-discovery and implementation and growth can continue to happen on your own. And that's
Mhm.
really what we're all looking for with all the
Yes.
different types of help that we're looking to get. Yes, all of that is really good. Okay. So in the last few minutes, just a couple of things. It's a good reminder, and this is something that I've had coaches say to me, and I say to clients, that if you think about it, all the growth that we do is relational on some level, right?
Mhm.
We might do a lot of stuff on our own. We might do a lot of reading. We might do meditations. We might do, whatever we're into to kind of do self-improvement. But in the end, we test it out and we live it in a world that's relational. So getting relational help from a coach isn't all that crazy in that sense. I would also say, besides it not being an admission of failure, it's a declaration of intent and a showing of courage to be willing to go in this
Mhm.
direction. Right. Because like you said, this is really the process of learning and developing more of who you really are and crafting it. Right.
Mhm.
It's not just discovering, it's building.
Mhm.
That's what I think is so fun about watching what you're going through right now,
Oh.
right? Is all of that. So, okay. So Ashley, in the last couple of
Mhm.
minutes, I mentioned Tucker Miller earlier.
Yeah.
And, I know you're having a conversation with her coming up. And the reason I mentioned that was not to simply throw that out there, but because I wanted to share with everybody kind of some news that you and I have
Okay.
about what's going on. And this started back with Tucker Miller myself. A couple
Okay.
months ago, I met with Tucker Miller and we ended up having, I guess, about a 5-hour conversation, intensive thing. And out of that was born an idea and a sense of where I wanted to go with my coaching practice and what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And that's led us to a point, Ashley, where we're no longer just podcast partners, are we?
Mhm.
What else are we?
We're also business partners
I know.
because we don't hang out enough.
We don't hang
We're
out
like,
enough.
let's do more great things
Let's do more
because
great things.
this has been so
Yes.
great.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, we're now business
Eric is
partners
on it.
in a new company. It's a podcast coaching, development, and production company that we have named. Ashley, tell everybody what's named.
Oh, we named it Speaking Current.
Speaking Current. We can help individuals, companies, any entities develop podcasts for personal use, for hobby use, for corporate use, for every type of use imaginable. And it's not just about concept. It's not just about content. It's also about production, expansion, distribution. We've started it. We've got a few clients coming in the pipeline that are coming on, and we're aiming high for this. But this is
Mhm.
where this ended up. And this started with coaching.
Yes, it did.
Coaching. It did. And it helped clarify a lot. And so I want to make sure that we both shout out Tucker Miller of Onward
That's right.
Leadership.
Well,
who's-
and we'll have to tune in next week because I have my meeting with her this weekend.
I know it's going to be
So
cool.
we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah, we will see.
I'll
what
be
comes out of
even
that.
better than I already am.
Yeah, and talk about a coach, right? Tucker Miller.
Oh,
Holy
she's
moly.
phenomenal.
Yeah, if she's been on an episode before, her company
Mm-hmm.
is Onward Leadership. You should check her out because she offers some great coaching packages that can really, really help. It's really helped us. So Speaking Current in a lot of ways comes right from Tucker Miller. So anyway, thank you so much to Tucker. Thank you, Ashley, for bringing this topic in today. And thank you to all of you listening to this episode of Staying Power. We will be back next week with another episode talking about another way in which you can build a better life. And we'll keep building in the meantime. I am JD K. Winnikin.
And I'm Ashley.
We will see you soon.
Bye.